This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us all rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning. Welcome to THG. This is Mervyn Henley. It is Monday, 15th September 2025. If this is your first time here with us, we always ask our first-time viewers and listeners to please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you do not miss programming such as this one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who may not know, you're probably living under a rock because there's a recently hot topic on the island of Nevis that's caused a lot of stir, tensions on a rise with the land grab situation, a recently passed legislation that sets the framework for SSZ. What is the SSZ? Well, it is for multi-millionaires and billionaires to set up their own enclave, their own city, their own island within an island on the island of Nevis. And majority of Nevisians, they're saying, no way, we're not going to have this on this island. It cannot happen. Well, it may very well happen with the recently passed legislation. And so we have one billionaire, they say he's a billionaire, let me put it that way, who wants to purchase up to 6 square miles of Nevis's land. And that has caused an uproar on the island. Well, the Nevis Reformation Party, friends and residents of Nevis, well-wishers of Nevis, the expats of Nevis, they're saying that we cannot have this. And so the Nevis Reformation Party held one of their first public meetings and protests about this, because there will be others. And so we'll have the speakers here on THG, if you missed it, on a daily basis. So this morning, we'll hear from the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel-Hodge. Here is Dr. Daniel-Hodge.
The legislation says that they can provide full transfer of rights to others. Is they be required to go through due diligence? No. We don't know these things. And so we cannot stand for this legislation. Too many loopholes, if you ask me. It also says that the zone developer can give approval for development. So if in that zone you can have approval within the zone, that means they don't need our physical planning anymore. That means they don't need to come here. We have no control over what's going on over there. But what about all of the application fees and processing fees? The Premier said 3 hotels are going over there. Who is going to be reviewing those? We don't know. The other thing that it says, and I ask you to pay close attention, and when we say that the SSZ legislation must be repealed, that legislation provides for financial damages and penalties for breach of the development agreement by any of the parties. So when the Premier signs the development agreement, and then they're unable to deliver because we know everything for him is incomplete. He cannot deliver, he cannot complete anything. What is going to happen? Then poor little Nevis is sued. Where are we going to find the money from to settle these challenges? We cannot afford to expose ourselves to these types of situations. And then when you look at this section that says the applicant, they don't have to deal with that. We don't know what these things are. And you cannot get the information from the Premier, and that is one of the big problems that we have. So when they're over there, and they're benefiting from all the tax holidays and all the concessions, our businesses out here in Nevis are struggling, still have to pay their taxes. How can we allow something like this to take place? Now, even though we said, and I've heard this question asked, but Janice, I don't see anything in the legislation that talks about sovereignty or enclaves. I say you're not going to see those words because some of them think they're smart. I have a friend in Newcastle. They think they swallow bulbs, so they're brighter than everybody. So they're not going to put it in the legislation, but they're going to put it in the development agreement. And what happens with the development agreement? There's no provision for public consultation. So they say, oh, they're going to take it to the legislature. Well, who's in charge of the legislature? Who has the majority control in the legislature? So I am telling you, any SSC that moves forward is just going to be rubber stamped by the Premier every step of the way. We cannot afford for this to happen. We cannot afford for this SSC legislation. Nowhere in Nevis, we must stand up and say no.
No way.
I'm almost done. So, we must ask the question. When we get a little bit of information trickling down here and there, I don't know if you remember the Premier said that we can have up to 10,000 people in the enclave over there.
Oh Lord.
Well, how much people in Nevis?
10,000 more votes.
How many people in Nevis? And that is just the first aspect of it. So imagine if over there they're going to have 10,000 people. You see how soon we could become the minority in the land of our birth? Can we afford a situation?
10,000 more votes.
Can we afford a legislation that is going to make us become the minority in this land of Nevis? There are so many who went before us fought for our rights to own land. We cannot afford for this legislation to go forward.
No way.
My people, I want to say to you, the greatest travesty regarding this SSD legislation came about because we knew that as early as 2024, some say as early as 2021, the Premier's wife was involved in the sale of lands on the southern side of Nevis.
Yes.
And even if we take it to 2024, that she was involved in the sale of lands. The Premier himself said that she was working for some investors. How is it that she had been selling land since 2024? When Mr. Lawrence asked the question, he did not know. He did not have any formal submission. But on August 11th, the three ministers from Nevis went down and passed the SSD legislation on August 11th with all of the mandates and requirements. And guess what? On August 25th, 2 weeks after, the Premier comes in the national address. He just happened to have a formal proposal. And guess what? Who is the proposal from? The same people that his wife has been working for all of these years.
Nothing about.
Is that correct? Is that right? Which says to us, while the wife was selling the land all of this time, they knew what they were planning. When people saw lands in 2024, we did not have any SSD legislation in this country. There was no thought of anything like this about sovereignty and enclaves. So imagine people saw land in 2024, not knowing what the Premier and his team was scheming and planning to do. Because you cannot tell me that the legislation is going to be passed on August 11th, and by August 25th, a proposal is submitted to the Premier. And the problem of the matter is that the proposal is submitted to the Premier. It is not submitted to the Physical Planning Department. Only the Premier and his cabinet is reviewing this proposal. Do we expect that they're going to deny the proposal? No. They're going to move forward with it. And somebody mentioned to me, they probably already signed the development agreement, but they're just going through the motions right now. That is a height of deception, and this is something that we cannot proceed with. When you look at most situations, when you have husband and wife involved, work with the same team, somebody must recuse themselves. You must remove yourself from the decision making. And we're not seeing that because the Premier feels he bad, he's smart, he's one of more power than anybody else. Anyway, I will say to you, we recognize the people over there now who have land to sell. With this SSD legislation in place now, it's a big problem, it's a big challenge, because what we are seeing is that the Premier has presented a proposal to the people of Nevis that is unconscionable. Some people would very much want to sell their lands, but they do not want to sell their lands if it's going to create an enclave in Nevis. And this outlet did not come about until a couple of weeks ago. So we must understand that what the Premier has done is to set up a scheme behind the scenes.
Yes.
And now come and force people to sell your land.
Yes.
Sell your land to be a part of the enclave. That is not right. That is not the type of proposal that a Premier who cares about the people of Nevis would present to the people of Nevis. We are not against development, but bring the right type of development that can benefit the people of Nevis. Bring the right type of development with the right type of investors. Bring the right type of development on the legislation that we have that has been working for us all these years and will continue to work for us, because there's no reason why in 2025 we should be going back to sending our development agreements to Sinkers for signature. As I wrap up, I say we ask that the SSZ legislation be repealed,
Yes.
and allow the development of Nevis to proceed under the Nevis Physical Planning and Development Control Ordinance that has served us well over these years despite the challenges. We do not need a legislation that puts all of the powers in the hands of the Premier and his cabinet. We do not want a legislation that requires that our development in Nevis must get an approval from St. Kitts. We've been way past that. And so we have a choice to make. Either short-term profits for the few, which is the billionaires and the Berkeleys, or the long-term prosperity for all of us. Let us choose wisely. Let us choose Nevis. And let us rally to repeal the SSD legislation, which is not beneficial to the people of Nevis. It is only beneficial to the Premier and its small group of people. Thank you so very much.
Leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel-Hodge. I'm telling you, it's getting very testy on the island over this legislation, over this land grab. Tomorrow, you will hear from another speaker right here on THG. Do have yourselves a blessed day further. I am Mervyn Ham.
Nevis, satisfy your sweet tooth at Feaser's, the cozy spot in Charlestown, known for its mouth-watering ice cream and doll parade. We are open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come in and sample our patties, sandwiches, air-fried wings with fries, hot dogs, rotis, and now our famous smoothies, in all flavors of course. And don't forget to try the famous bus-up shut and saltfish. It's Feaser's, located at the entrance to the Cotton Ginnery Mall in Charlestown, Nevis. They're also available by phone, so place your order by calling 1-869-665-2458. Don't ask about the rest, just try the best.